What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Blerd Out. The new One Piece chapter has dropped. 1128 is out, so of course we're going to be talking about that, but we got a bunch of other cool news as well. On October 20th, we're supposed to get a special One Piece fan letter animation directed by Megumi Ishitani. If you don't know who Megumi is, please check out some of her work on One Piece. She is a goated director. Her episodes are always fire. Off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure Megumi directed the ultimate chapter. She directed the episode for that, and that episode had some of the cleanest transitions and just animations, pacing. It looked so clean, and I'm going to be doing a breakdown of more of that story on the main channel, because there's a bunch of like synopsis for each of the Straw Hats and they're kind of like side stories. It's a bunch of little side stories being put together, basically. So if you want the full synopsis on that, check out the main. We also got some My Hero movie news. We got the new movie coming out October 11th, My Hero Academia You're Next, which is starring Darkmite, who is like a clone. Not a clone. He's trying to be All Might, basically. Only thing is, I'm guessing he's super evil, considering his name is Darkmite and considering everyone's fighting against him. They did drop a slight trailer for it was like a little teaser for what the movie has in store, and it shows Darkmite using what are his powers. It looks like he controls like constructs that adjust matter, to be honest. I don't know if it's like, because he mentions paint. It might be paint themed just to the way it moves, but it seems like he can not only put this material into constructs like fists or like any kind of projectile. If he applies it to material, he then controls that material. Like in the teaser, he can create like fists out of this construct. It's all like a glowing orangish yellow. It looks almost like fire. But he also puts like this construct on the ground, and then he creates spires from it. So it's like whatever this material gets on, he kind of has control over. It's really interesting. Check out the clip if you haven't seen it. The movie looks super cool. And I'm pretty sure Darkmite is just voiced by All Might. He sounds exactly the same, so that's what I'm assuming. I haven't actually looked at the voice acting credits, but he sounds, I'm pretty sure, just like All Might. And of course, the season's ended, so we have to talk about not only the old seasonals, which ones made it to the top, but the new seasonals we're going to check out, but we're going to save that for after the chapter. So let's get into the chapter. First, a word from our sponsors. Thank you for tuning in to Blerd Out. Whether you're listening from YouTube on my channels like Darren King Kumo or Blerd Out Podcast, or one of the many podcast sites like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more, I appreciate your support. If you want to listen to older episodes of the podcast, head on over to Patreon. If you join as a free member, you can watch all the old episodes from the old seasons for free. Plus, there'll be other content that didn't quite make it to an episode or on a YouTube video that you can check out there as well. Your support means the world.
Talking all things, we chillin' like Okiji. Better activate your Byakugan so you can see me. Coming at you left, right, up, down, sideways. Reactions, reviews, maybe even let's plays. On this droid boy, trying to make you laugh, make you smile. We about to set sail, so sit back and stay a while. It's Blerd It Out. Blerd It Out.
And if you have not caught up to the latest chapters or episodes, please note there will be spoilers ahead.
Spoilers.
Okay, so we got the cover of Shonen Jump, and this illustration, super clean. Like, it's not traditional drawing-wise. Like, it's a very, I don't know how I would describe this, to be honest. It looks like a deep illustration, pretty much. Like, almost like a painting. And it's so clean, because it's got Luffy, and it's got him in, like, some Pirate King looking outfit. Like, the drip is insane. The colors are insane. I really like it. We also got a color spread. And I'm going to admit, I don't like the color spread as much as I normally do. It just seems a little compressed. Like I feel like there's not as much vibrancy and color and action going on. And I think it's because mainly the center part of this color spread is Luffy with his broom. But that takes up so much real estate of the color spread that kind of makes everything else fade out in comparison. Now, there is two things that save this color spread for me. One, I love whenever Frankie makes like a motorcycle out of whatever vehicle he's on in the color spreads. Like him just being on some kind of motor vehicle. Like you see, like everyone else has their brooms, right? Frankie has like this 8-cylinder motorcycle broom that him and Nami are riding on. And it's just, I love that detail that Frankie always mods his stuff. The second one is Robin. Robin is looking fabulous as always, but I love like what it looks to be like a nerdy glasses Robin. Like she's a wizard at a wizarding school. Love that. The rest of it is, it's all right. And actually, I just now noticed Jinbei is sitting on top of the dragon's head. Somehow I saw Zoro, but I didn't see Jinbei. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not one of my favorites. And now into the chapter itself. So last week I was talking about how there was a possibility that the Straw Hats could be hallucinating some things. Just because they took the Green Fairy and there were so many changes in what was going on that it seemed like something was off. Now, this chapter doesn't necessarily disprove that, but it makes it harder to believe, I'll say. The crew starts talking about basically how they ended up here, where they woke up at, and what they did following. Basically, they were all separated at some point. Zoro ended up finding Luffy because Luffy was beating up the giant rabbit, so he just followed the noise. Usopp just ended up in the cat's mouth pretty much. And I think Sanji essentially just sniffed around until he found somebody. That or he used observation haki, I'm not entirely sure. They allude to him using it to try and find Robin, but they also show him sniffing, so I'm like, okay. Sanji's being Sanji, I'll let him do what he does. Now, while they're discussing what's going on, I do like the fact that Usopp kind of takes a lead explanation and is like, okay, so we're wearing Elbaf outfits. These are clearly from Elbaf, but they would not have clothes that fit us. There's no way giants would just have like a stock of human clothes. And then Nami brings up the idea that they might have been gigantified, but she then kind of pushes that to the wayside because she's talking about how like the tree is definitely fake and some of the other area is fake. And as they're talking, somebody pulls up and it's a normal person. Like it's just a dude. And when I saw him, it kind of made me think that basically I had overestimated what was happening here. Because initially, when I saw other people that weren't the Straw Hats, because of the perspective we were getting, it was like, we'll show these people and then we'll show the Straw Hats, but they'll be separate. My idea was that we were seeing giants reacting on one side and the Straw Hats reacting on the other. It turns out these people aren't giants, they're just other people who are trapped in this place. Now, this person that pulled up starts talking about all of the animals, and basically, I think I talked about this last episode. The animals are sacred animals, and this is their playpen, pretty much. Like that's exactly what this is. It just so happens that there are also humans living in here. Basically, this is a miniature world. Essentially, they're living in the world of a hobbyist that is referred to as the Sun God. Now, the Sun God is an actual giant, which is probably why it's revered as much as it is in this small world right here. As the guy is talking, he starts bringing up all the animals that the Straw Hats beat up, and they're all like, ooh, about that. Yeah, that's rough. I don't know who did that. And of course, Luffy is trying to say, yeah, I beat them up, but they're covering his mouth and they're kind of just passing it by. And then the guy mentions that there's a road that basically leads to death. Anybody who goes down that road, they do not come back. Obviously, that's Luffy's call to adventure. He heads down it immediately. Everyone else follows suit. And I enjoy that Zoro kind of has the same feelings towards this road that Luffy did. Whereas we've seen in a lot of different places in the New World that Zoro's kind of like trying to reel Luffy in. But we've gotten to a point where Zoro is also kind of craving a challenge. And I like that. I like to see that in his eye. And even Sanji mentions that basically Luffy and Zoro are enabling each other at this point. Like they're going back and forth with this, which tends to cause problems. So Luffy rushes to the end, ends up slamming into a glass wall. Turns out it was a mirror. And basically this was the edge of the world. And when Luffy hits that, we get a perspective of some other people. And this is what I was mentioning, where it's like, so we're seeing the Straw Hats in one panel and then these other people in another. And they're dressed as giants, so it makes you think that they might be giants. I think these are normal sized people in this toy world. And actually I'm pretty sure, because considering how small the actual like toy world is, how it's boxed in, they have to be normal sized people. The giants aren't gonna fit in there. But yeah, we basically get revealed to this room, this craft room, where a giant has clearly been creating things. You can see like a sewing machine, you see books, you see Legos. So it's like, this is where everything comes from. That entire world we were just in, this is where it's all made. And Chopper is here. Like Chopper didn't get put into the toy world. He got like locked up as a pet and kept in this room. I don't know why I find that so funny, but it just is. Because you put all these sacred animals in there, and then you get this one. And like, I feel like the obvious route would be make this a new sacred animal. And then you could have like the Straw Hats run into Chopper, and he'd be like, oh, he's a sacred animal now, everyone worships him. But instead, he just got chained up. I also like the fact that it looks like Zoro was the one who freed him. And you can see in the background that Zoro has like the chain in his hand. So it basically just looks like he grabbed the collar with his hand and broke it off, which would just be cool. Like there's nothing special about that. It just looks really cool. So they explore the area, they find all the blocks. They realize that basically this entire world is made of plastic, so it's not real, it's just fake. And they basically realized they were in the world of some hobbyist. Like somebody had a miniature world and they were putting humans in there and just having them play with these animals in this tiny contained universe. And this brings up some good points, because initially they're like, well, we have to be on Elbaf, right? Because we're in a giant's room. And Nami points out that while this could be like a giant's room, does this necessarily mean we're on Elbaf or that giant's behind this? Like, there's still too many unknowns. We have no idea what's happening for sure. And that's all we can kind of go off of, so we need to get out. Usopp does bring up a good counter argument that asking the town people about what's going on here would give them a good set of information. I think that's something that they should do, and they might end up doing at some point, considering they end up going back into the Toyland some moments later. But before that, a bunch of animals start attacking, and these seem to be like the guardians, which makes me think again, like, why didn't they use Chopper as one of the guardians? Because like they have rats, they have crows, they have snakes, just a bunch of random animals. And I'm like, I guess he is tiny compared to all of these, like even to the rats, he's tiny. So I can see why it would make sense not to use him. I think it just would have been funny. Like if he went Monster Point because he got scared and then he got used as a guardian, I think that'd be funny. Now, as the Straw Hats are starting to beat up these animals, we get a shot of essentially the sun god, the giant, come back to their hobby shop. And like they're dressed completely in some kind of costume, so you can't see what they look like. I will say that they seem to have high heels on, and they seem to be a slender body type, which is very different for giants. Like, I think even the female giants are a bit like bulkier. This person seems pretty skinny. So at the very most, I'll say they're probably not a fighter. But they walk into the highway shop and they see that not only are all these animals getting beat up, but they see that Luffy's gone Gear 5. Everything's on fire, like it's chaos. And at this point, I was expecting the giant to mention something about Luffy being in Gear 5. I feel like that has to be a plot point, right? Because I understand Luffy uses Gear 5 far more often than we expect, but I feel like he most certainly didn't need to use it here. just to beat up some animals. So it's like, I think having him use it was just an excuse for having this sun god see the true sun god. But as they're heading back into the Toyland, they run into the cat, and they beat up the cat, and now they're riding on the cat in typical Straw Hat fashion. They beat up an animal, and now they're using it as transportation. As they were running away, Nami ended up stealing a map of the Toyland. So now they know exactly where they need to go if they need to get anything. But they also find out that the giant can come into the Toyland. And you can see, like, when they cut a hole in the grate, that it's a giant door. So the sun god must come into this Toyland every now and again and, like, pretty much pose as a god. So it's probably what everyone's seeing here, because everyone's reacting like, oh god, it's sun god. So they know what they look like and everything. So obviously this has happened before in some kind of fashion. But basically our plan now is to charge to the other side and smash through that wall and see if we can get out of this Toyland and escape the giant. Now I'm imagining stuff is going to happen before that. I don't think we're going to smash to the other side quite yet. I feel like we're going to explore this land a little bit. I think it would be hard to hide in this land. And I can't imagine there's that many places to hide. So the next best thing would be if they try and knock out or incapacitate the giant and then try to escape. That's the end of the chapter. We have no break. So we'll be seeing where this continues next week. Pretty okay chapter. Nothing really stuck out here. Nothing special happened. We're in setup phase, so we have more questions than answers. We're not seeing a whole lot of things take place because we're still kind of like delving into mysteries. But this does explain a lot of things. It still doesn't explain why there were so many inconsistencies in the last chapter. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But it explains like the outfits, the location, the Legos. It explains all that stuff. I think the biggest mystery now is who is this sun god? And will they recognize Luffy at some point as the true sun god? That's what I'm expecting to see in the upcoming chapters here. But yeah, every chapter, it was alright. Nothing special. So let's wrap everything up with some seasonal talk. So summer 2024 has ended. That season is done with. And all the anime that I was watching from that season are completed. I don't think I was watching any that had the full 2-core piece. It was just the 12, 13 episode piecers. And in case it wasn't already obvious, Wistoria's top one. Wistoria claimed seasonals for summer 2024 by a landslide. Like, it's not even close. If you want my full thoughts on Wistoria, of course, go to the main channel, but I've even talked about it here. I loved Wistoria. It was such a fun ride. It was such a hype ride. So well done. Like, they were just in the bag for that. Runners up for me. Runners up would be Makine, Too Many Losing Heroines. I thought that show was also really good. It wasn't what I expected, and it continuously surprised me with the character growth and just character interaction, to the point where I did enjoy watching it on like a weekly basis. Like, I was excited to see it, week to week. I question what can be explored after this season for Makine, considering that the only two paths I think would be all of the girls fall for Nukimizu, or all of the girls fall for someone else and they go their separate ways. But if there's a season 2, I will be down. And the other contender I think for this season was Elusive Samurai. Elusive Samurai was a sleeper for me because I was not paying attention to it at all. I think the only reason I started watching it was because I saw it on Roshi's channel. And I usually look for a new anime to watch from Roshi's channel because I like to see how they react to it. And that's what got me interested in it. And I started watching 1 or 2 episodes. It was okay. Like, I liked it, but I wasn't like locked in. And then I saw the animation sequence for, I want to say episode 6. And I was like, okay, I'm in. Like I kept watching it and it kept getting better, and like the animation styles, the way they illustrate things and kind of just allude to things is so well done. Like their depictions of things in the show as to far like how characters are based on like traits, how they act, what they're known for, all that stuff is just so well done. So those were my top 3 for the season, easy. Now I gotta catch up on Nier Automata, because I started watching it when it initially came out. When it went on that break, I never picked it back up. And to be fair, I've played Nier, so I know what the story is, and it seemed like it was following the story of the game pretty closely. So it might not be as different as the game itself, which is why I haven't been that pressed on it, but I do want to watch it. And the other one I watched was the Osan Nui Adventure, that was like my chill anime. Like I would watch that when I was just sitting down, need something to watch while I was eating. And I mean, it was good. I enjoyed it a lot. Just like a fun ride, really is what that was. There were a few that I haven't finished yet, like No Longer Allowed in Another World. I didn't finish Failure Frame. Crusade is still like in production, I think, which hurts my soul, but you know, it is what it is. And of course, the end of the old season comes in with a new season. So what do we have slated for the new season? Dun 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 dun. So first off, we have Dandadan, which was one of the more hyped anime I've seen in a long time. Once this anime got announced, people were going crazy about it. And by people, I mean like the manga readers who knew what the series was and knew what we were about to get into. They were going hype about it. And unfortunately, they had some issues where like episodes were leaking and like their opening got leaked, stuff like that. I didn't check out any of that stuff, but I finally watched the first episode. It is a ride, let me tell you that. It is not what I expected. Not in a million years what I thought this show would be about. And I'm still not entirely sure what the show is about, but I do enjoy the premise of basically ghost believer versus alien believer. And it looks like those two worlds are going to keep colliding. I mean, that intro, that opening is so good. I cannot get that song out of my head. If you guys haven't heard the opening, please listen to it. It's made by the same people who made Mashl's opening, Bling 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 Bong. Creepy Nuts, I believe. Please check it out. It's so good. And the animation behind it. Ooh, crispy. Other seasonals I plan on catching are Reincarnated Aristocrat. And this is the second season. The first season went really well, so I want to see how the second one pans out. As far as like new shows, there's Demon Lord 2099, which I don't fully understand the premise of, but the idea of like a futuristic Demon Lord scenario sounds dope. So that's on my list. We got The Most Notorious Talker Runs the World's Greatest Clan. That one also sounds interesting. Added that to the list. We got Loner Life in Another World, which is an isekai. You know I love me some isekais. I saw the first episode of that. It was pretty decent, so I have that on the list for now. We'll see how that does. And then we have Let This Grieving Soul Retire. Now for this show, I had this on my list, and somebody also said that the first episode was pretty interesting. So I ended up watching it myself. I really like this one. I don't know what it is about this one, but I enjoyed it so much. So I'm definitely going to keep this on my rotation. Like for sure, Grieving Soul is going to be on the rotation for fall seasonals. Like I think the ones I will definitely watch are going to be Grieving Soul, Reincarnated Aristocrat, and Dandadan. Outside of that, I'm going to see what the timeline's talking about. I'm going to see if anybody's making other recommendations, but those three are definitely going to be watched. But that is going to do it for this episode. If you guys got some hype seasonals you're planning on watching, if you got comments on the chapter, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Smash that like button, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.